Welcome back today to the channel. Today we are here for another WWE 2K19 tutorial. This is the popular from last year, how to break out of Hell in a Cell. So, there are two different ways to break out of the Hell in a Cell cage this year, opposed to last year's one way of breaking out. I'm going to show you first of all the escape artist way of doing it, which is where you break through one of the panels with a kind of cutscene finisher type thing. So first of all, you want to come to creations, go to moveset. And then when you're in this screen here, you want to select the superstar that you want to use in this. So for my tutorial, I'm going to use Batista. And you want to hit A on him. Or if you're on PS4, of course, hit X. Just basically whatever you're on, just select Batista and then hit normal edit. So once you reach this screen here, make your way down to the special moves section. Select that and go down to Cell. Now, first of all, if this is grayed out for you, that means your superstar does not have the escape artist skill. I will show you in about 10 seconds how to get that. But first, once you have Cell able to be selected, you will see the two options here, which are the ceiling grapple, which is how you throw your opponent off the top of the cell. There are 6 different options for this. I'm going to set mine to Powerbomb 12. The other thing you can change here is the cell finisher. This is one of the 2 ways we are going to break out of the Hell in a Cell in this tutorial. And you can see there are 5 options for that. Again, I'm going to keep mine at the Powerbomb. If when you come down to Cell here, it was grayed out or wouldn't let you select anything, basically just come back to this screen here, go to Skills, go across until you get to OMG Moment, come down to Escape Artist, and ensure that the box beside it is checked. In other words, it is white. Make sure you accept that, and then you can go back into your special moves, down to Cell, and you can go from there. After all of that, make sure to save your changes, and you can save it into any of the modes that you like. I'm just going to save mine into my WWE, which basically means just for exhibition, but if you want it in your universe mode, go ahead and select that box as well, and hit save. When you're back here on the main menu, make your way over to the play menu, go to whatever type of Hell in a Cell match you want. I'm going to do a one-on-one match for the sake of this video. Go to Hell in a Cell, and then make sure you select your superstar. So mine was Batista. Confirm that. Pick your opponent. For the sake of this, I'm going to use Bobby Roode, and confirm that. Then go into match options. On Xbox, that is Y. On PlayStation, that is triangle, and for anything else, you will see it along the bottom of your screen anyway. Then into custom match rules. Now, this is if you want to have finishers instantly, which is what I want. So I go across, I accept both of the first 2 screens, I select 3 finishers here, and accept. Basically, that's going to give me the 3 finishers straight away, so I can break straight out of the cell. However, do note that this also gives your opponent 3 finishers. Then start your match. Okay, so once you're in the Hell in a Cell match, basically just make your way to the outside of the ring. I'm going to just Irish whip Bobby Roode over the top rope here, and make my way out. Then, for the escape artist skill, you need to basically select one of the 8 different panels that you can use it to break out of. So basically it's just the 2 panels closest to each of the 4 corners. So these 2 panels down towards this corner here can both be broken out of with the escape artist skill. So you'll see the RB and Y OMG you saw pop up there on the screen. And basically just Irish whip your opponent into the corner, wait until that pops up. Hit RB and Y or whatever it pops up on your console, and it will perform the move. It will then push your superstar to the outside of the cell. You can re-enter the cell by hitting LB. You can again leave the cell by hitting LB as you go towards the corner. Once you're on the outside of the ring, you can pick up your opponent if you want, and you can, slam him on the outside of the ring, or you can make your way any way around the cell. Hit LB while beside the cell and pointing your left stick towards the cell. That will begin the climbing animation. Your opponent will likely follow. It will take you to halfway up the cell, where you can proceed to either climb down, hit your opponent if he's beside you, or hit LB once more to finish climbing up the rest of the Hell in a Cell. When you're on top of the Hell in a Cell like this, you can either slam your opponent on one of these 4 center panels, which can be broken by your slams or finishers, and it will send your opponent crashing down to the mat. Batista is looking to end it. From here, you can either proceed to climb down the side of the cell, or you can go to that panel and go walk towards it while hitting LB, to which your superstar will climb down the cell and jump back in. Now, before we go and show you how to throw people off the top of the cell, I'm going to show you the other way of breaking out of the cell, because you don't need the escape artist skill in this game to do it. Instead, what you can do is toss your opponent via an Irish whip into one of the 8 panels around the cell. Again, by 8 I mean the 2 panels closest to each of the 4 corners. So I'm just going to keep throwing Bobby Roode into this one that he just went into. And basically what you need to do is just throw him into that, and after a number of attempts, the panel will finally break open. Now, of course, this is a more tedious method, as you have to constantly be throwing your opponent back and forward until you can put him through the cell, but it also means you can save a finisher, not having to waste it on the escape artist skill. And there you can see Bobby Roode breaking out of the cell. Again, you can hold LB while moving towards or click LB while moving towards the cell to move in and out of it. And again, once you're on the outside of the ring, you can do whatever you like. I'm going to walk around the side of the cell here and proceed to climb the side of it. Bobby Roode will likely follow me up on top of the cell here, as your opponent often will. And once he does that, I will proceed to throw him off the side of the Hell in a Cell. So whenever you're climbing a cell like this, if your opponent has decided to follow you up the cell, you can actually move towards him. So you can move towards your opponent, and you can hit each other to knock each other off from halfway up the cell, as Bobby Roode is doing to me right now, unfortunately. But I countered, and you're able to hit your opponent until they fall off the side of the cell, like that. So when you have your opponent at one of the sides of the Hell in a Cell, you can either hit A to toss them off, or get them in carry and drag position, and toss them off the side of the cell. You can then proceed to dive onto your opponent if you have a certain diving skill. Unfortunately, Batista does not have that. So that is how you break out of Hell in a Cell in WWE 2K19 and throw people off top of Hell in a Cell and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully you guys find this informative. If you did, make sure to drop it a like. And if you've got any more questions, as always, leave a comment below and I will try my best to answer them. If you want to see more videos like this and want to keep supporting us in the future, hit the subscribe button and of course turn on the notification icon to get notified every time we upload. And finally, make sure to follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.